That's it. Right, you're right. You good? Good to go. Good stuff. Well, here we are. I don't know what week this week is. Week 4, I think. Are we week 4?
Yeah.
If you're joining us online, welcome. If you haven't seen the past 3 weeks, go back and watch it on our YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm going to deal with the whole issue of bad fruit. You know. So, how many of you love bad fruit? Obviously not Josh, because he ate the banana skin and all.
You're my favourite bad fruit.
I'm your favourite bad fruit. No, that's so cute. Yeah, Josh, you like, the other Josh, you like bad fruit, do you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Have you ever got a piece of fruit one time and then you're bitten into it and all of a sudden, oh, nasty. Like an apple, it's got a caterpillar in there and a worm or something, yeah? What have you eaten? All brown on the inside.
I opened a passion fruit to eat it, and then only after I took a bite, I realised it was bad.
How do you bite the passion fruit, by the way?
I cut it open, then eat the insides, but the insides can eat the skin.
The fact that a passion fruit looks like that already tells me it's bad. You know, it's like, nah, it's nasty. Never mind. Moving on. Yep.
Nectarine, my teeth got stuck in the pit.
Oh, yeah.
There's something kind of funny about that. But yeah, okay, you know, right?
I ate a banana with the skin on.
Yeah! Changing your name to Chalkboard, yeah?
Ripping off a bunch of grapes and just shoving them all in my mouth to realise half of them were brown and gooey and
Nice. Nice little wine pressed mouth, eh?
Yep.
Sultanas. Yeah, that's it. Sultanas at that point.
Except still hydrated.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I want to imagine for a moment, how many of you love picnics? Not the chocolate bar, but going on a picnic.
I ate picnics on a picnic.
Now my favourite kind of picnic is where I don't prepare anything. That's the best kind, right? Because usually I forget something, and I've got a friend of mine that when they prepare a picnic, it is amazing, right? They have the most amazing picnic rug. Right, it's not just like one of those plastic ones you get in your car and you roll it up, you know, and it's got tartan one side and plastic the other side. You know those ones? Everyone has those on their tub, yeah? No, this was like a check thing, and it had frilly ends on it, and they would throw it out. It was a big rug, you'd sit on it. Amazing. And then they would bring out the basket. I know, right? Not the shopping bag, right? The basket. Put it out, and they would lay out chicken and fruit and juice. It was just amazing picnics. I had one of those in my life. Right, one, sad face. Naomi, I want another one like that. Second one, 2. Right. So, how many of you have gone on the best picnic ever and you just think, yeah, I want someone to do that for me? Are you a picnicker or a picnicky? And not nickers, right? I used to, never mind. Anyway, I've got people looking at me and say, don't go there. So, the fact is about a picnic, I want to invite you to the rug, right? So you're all sitting on my picnic rug right now, right? Nice. Sorry, I didn't bring the food. But under the tree, yes. I'll just pull the fruit. Anyway, the reality is that I want to invite you to the rug, and we're going to just talk about this whole series. The Family of Origin series is all about where you draw stuff in your life from, and is your family experience a good one, a bad one, a negative one, a positive one? Does it bear good fruit in your life? Does it bear bad fruit in your life? And what does fruit even mean? And do you find yourself doing behaviours or saying phrases that you went, oh man, I sound like my mum. Oh, I sound like my dad. Oh, I said I was never going to be like that. I said I was never going to do that. Or for some of you, you've grown up in such a nurturing environment that it's just so amazing that when you go into other people's families and it's maybe not working so well, it kind of gets you a bit kind of like, you know, this is weird, got to step back, this is so aggressive, or this is so strange and makes you feel uncomfortable. Anybody go to families like that? My family was like that. My family was an uncomfortable family, you know, so my family was Scottish, and they know how to yell. They know how to yell. That's kind of, yelling is kind of talking level for a Scots person, right? You know, so if you're Scottish, it's like, oh, do you dogs, and you're like that, you know, and it's like, oh, I just want a cup of tea tonight, you know, and get your own in tea, that's what they say, you know, like that. If you didn't understand that, that's Scottish. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means. Come on in, Benny, you're right, bro. You're right up front. We're all walking. That's what happens when you walk in the lane. So, I just want to talk about a little bit about, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about where the root system draws its energy from. In your life, are there negative behaviours? Are there negative things that are happening in your life? Thought patterns, processes, things like that. Consistent things that keep happening to you, and you think to yourself, man, why do I keep doing this? And does it do your head in as you see this behaviour roll over and over? No matter how hard you try, it's like even squeezing your fists and your face up hard does not stop it from happening again and again and again. And it makes you feel like you're a loser. It makes you feel like you're weak, it's like failure. It makes you, and I think 2 weeks ago I talked about shame and guilt. It makes you feel really broken. It makes you feel like there's a space where, you know, I'm no good at this, I'm no good as a person. And I want to tell you that's not true. There's a way of bearing good fruit, and next week a couple of the girls are going to be sharing with you that whole process. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about, here's a thing, it's an interesting study. This is to make me sound intelligent, but it's not my thoughts, right? Studies indicate, now I'll read this maybe twice till you so you get it, and you've got to listen to this, because this might go into your mind a little bit about this. Studies indicate that food, abused drugs, and sexual interests share a common pathway in our brain's survival and reward system. So, how many of you like sex? Don't indicate. All right? No filter. So, the fact is, if some of you struggle with food, abuse of some description, whether that's to your physical body or you abuse food in some way, either you eat it, don't eat it, and then don't eat it, you know what I mean? Yeah? And then sexual interest, that means that you crave stuff all the time. I've got to be careful. I just got to be careful when I look around at the wrong time when I'm saying something like that and someone's, yeah, got that look. Now I know, oh jeez, we're moving on. So, this pathway in our brain is created from a really young age. Last week we learned, you know, the formative years. What happens in those kind of years of our life as we grow up? What happens in those kind of 0 to 5s, 5s to 9s, 9s to 15, over when you get 15 to 21, all these kind of different segments of your life, and you think, wow, if that's true, if I'm programmed at that age, I'm stuffed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little bit older than 21, and so I'm thinking, if everything that is my hard drive in my brain is programmed in up until 21, then what have I been doing for the last 5 years? This is a tough crowd right here. Okay, 6 years. All right, so for the last 32 years, what have I been doing and living out of, and what have been some of the decisions I've made, or choices, or relationships, or friendships that I've had, have been born out of that stuff that's been hardwired into my mind and into my heart. And how come it took painful situations to change my direction? Of course, we learnt that last week when Becca was sharing that it's usually trauma that will change your direction. Something that happens to you, a significant hit. Look at that dog, it doesn't even move. You could at least pass it to him. You know? He's very invasive, isn't he, Georgia, that dog? Sorry.
Actually, I think he's asleep.
Yeah. If you don't know how to change something, I want to tell you tonight that's okay. By the end of tonight, I'll give you some thoughts and some processes on what it is, what is some of the bad fruit that is in your life. This looks like a healthy one, but we're going to make it bad. Right? So this is a bad.
Does red mean bad? Yeah.
Red means bad. It's brewed.
I mean, devils.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there is this. How many of you have ever gone to the nursery and you've actually taken a pot plant home and think, you know what, this is going to be a sweet tree, you know? So a couple of years ago, I bought 3 citrus trees and 2 other things, bush things.
Box hedges.
What were they?
Oh, box hedges.
I didn't want to say. Box hedges, yeah. And they... It was not me, all right? There are gigglers in the room.
They know what they were.
The challenge is, I got these things home and I thought, yeah, this is gonna, these trees, you wait, citrus. I'm gonna have lemon for my cordial, lime for my other cordial, and I'm gonna have oranges, I don't know, just because I wanted oranges, you know, because it came as 3 for the price of 2 or something. I was Scottish, you know, so whatever. And then I bought these 2 boxy edge things and thinking, you watch, I'm going to shape these things into the most. How many of those trees do you reckon have survived? 0. No. 2. 2 have survived. And how have they survived? I gave them away! So if you go to Beck's house at any point, you'll see a thriving citrus tree and 1 box edge left, you know. I don't even know what the citrus is now. They had such a traumatic time at my house. You know, it says, I'm confused, I don't know if it'll be a lemon or an orange, you know. And sometimes that can be exactly like us. Sometimes we are planted in such a way that we actually don't know who am I and what am I going to be in this process. And so the challenge for us guys is that tonight I want to help you understand that there might be some behaviours that I talk about tonight. You go, oh, man, that's so in me. And it makes you feel so awkward and so bad and so broken at times. I want you to know where it comes from. And that's the root that you've been, that you draw from in your life that comes out of your family of origin. And I wish it was different for some of us. I wish it was different for me because as I look back on my life and in the teenage years, I can see the fruit that was coming out of that. And sometimes behaviours that I was doing or thoughts that I had, it's like I was like having an out-of-body experience where I would see myself doing these things or saying these things and thinking to myself, who even are you? That's not who you are. And I call it temporary insanity, where you do stuff and you step back from it and you think, why did I even do that? It's not even who I am. It's not what I believe in. It's not what I'm about. Why did I do that? Because there were needs in my life to be able to, that needed to be fulfilled, and whether that was through friendship, whether that was through acceptance, whether I was feeling like I needed to belong, whether I wanted to feel loved, I would do things that would go against even who I am as a person. It's okay if people get upset, by the way. I don't like it if people get upset, but it's okay if people get upset with what I talk about. Don't make them obvious. All right, so here we go. Here's an issue I want to talk to you a bit about. Now this one is called the issue of attachment. Attachment, yeah? Crap one. Going back to Sarah's. Being careful not to go onto the tree. And the issue is of attachment. I want to talk to you about attachment because this might be your experience. Attachment is a cool thing. Calvin is attached to me, right? He's got this real affection for me most of the time. When there's not a lot of other people around, I'm his it, right? I'm his it, all right? You're my master. Oh, well, I'm probably more his slave because I'm I think I'm his master, but he says, nah. You know, but the reality is there's an attachment, a bond that builds between a human and an animal. If you've got animals in your life, you know that there's that bond. I don't know about cats. I'm not a cat person, you know. Yeah, cats I think own you, you know. They own you.
Cats have stuff.
My cat's basically a dog.
That's right. You know, so the reality is there's an attachment between me and him. Now with people that I know, friends in my life, there's an attachment, a bond. When you see this when a newborn, when my sons were born, when Daniel popped, you know, here he was in my hand, and I said that was easy, and just joking, felt easy for me, but the hard enough. Anyway, I'm joking. So anyway, as he popped out, I'm thinking, this is what the hell do I do with this thing right now? He was a bit smelly and bloody at that point too, so he didn't look like what he looks like now. Banging hot. 6'4", magnificent looking man.
Obviously,
Obviously not mine, yeah, anyway, so, joking, he's mine. And I checked. And then my second son was born, and the same, I sort of had a bit of a practice at 2 years of like, oh, I'll get this affection thing, this attachment. Oh, that's what you meant to do. Oh. You know, you meant to rock them, not just hold them out by the neck, you know, so I was building resilient child, all right? So the reality was, the second one comes along and I'm going, oh yeah, what I did with the first one, I'm not doing with the second one. How many of you in your home feel like, my brother or sister gets away with so much more? Oh no, I know. Now if your brother and sister sitting here and go, oh you so different, you know, so I got away with so much more than you did. And some of it your parents don't know about yet, do they? So, here's the thing. There's a thing called attachment. And it is, the dictionary says this, it is a deep and enduring connection established between a child and a caregiver. Not necessarily a parent, but a caregiver. Because some of our parents are crap. They are. I can say that. Now I get, when I go online and people go, oh Phil, you shouldn't speak about parents like that. I am one. So I get the right to speak about parenting. And there are times that I haven't got it right. And my sons have helped redirect me, which has been good. Now, not all parents can listen to that. So, it is an affection, an enduring connection established between a child and a caregiver in the first several years of life. It profoundly influences every component of their human condition. So if you think loving someone, so we give sugar here at Bridgewoods, if you think a hug doesn't convey a lot to a person, you are so wrong. So we keep on hugging. If you don't like hugs, the reason for that is because it's not inappropriate. If it is, we'll have words. But if it's appropriate to hug someone and make them feel like there's this bond, it's so cool. Because we had that in our growing up years, in our family of origin.
Like back we're doing at the tin run?
Were we doing that at the tin run?
I hugged a lot.
I hugged a lot, didn't I? But you're all in onesies, you know. Anyway. Attachment is not something that parents do to their children. Rather, it is something that children and parents create together in an ongoing reciprocal relationship. That just simply means that if I'm sharing my relationship here and it's just going backwards and forwards, there's a desire to want to be in love with one another. So I say to my sons, I'm in love with you. Now when people hear that, they go, you're such a weirdo. If as a dad, I cannot say that to two magnificent men, you know, that I'm in love with, I am in love with my sons. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever their good decisions, bad decisions, whether we're loving one another or not, I adore them, absolutely adore them. I couldn't wish for something better than these two magnificent, good-looking, single young men. It could change after tonight. I don't know. Children who begin their lives with compromised, or now this could be you, so you need to listen to this one. Children, young people who begin their lives with compromised and disruptive attachment are at risk of serious problems and developments that unfold in their life. Do you want to know what some of them are?
Yes.
Here we go. You ready? People who have this disrupted position have low self-esteem. Now I'm going to clarify this by saying, when I read this list, I was ticking it for me. When I look back in my adolescence and in my childhood and then into my early adulthood, I'm going, oh yes, so there, oh girl, you know, and I was ticking a lot of these. Low self-esteem. They're needy, clinging. They're what they call pseudo-independent. They look like they're independent. I can do this on my own. But there's this underlying kind of thing that they really do need other people to need them. So there's this pseudo-independence. Yeah? I knew what that was like. I'm tough. I grew up in a violent home. I don't need love. I can survive. I'm a survivor. Don't sing it. They decompensate when faced with stress and adversity. We'll come back to that one. They lack self-control, unable to develop and maintain friendships. They alienate themselves from the opposition and are oppositional with parents. So when a parent comes to you and says, sweetheart, could you do that? Can't you ask, why am I always, how come you're always picking on me? They always get away with it. whoever they are. They might be a sibling, yeah? Antisocial attitudes and behaviours, aggression and violence, difficulty with genuine trust, intimacy and affection. I'm looking at this list and I'm bawling at this point. I'm so crap at this. You know, I'm going, whoa, how come there were so many gaps? And then I start to look for someone to blame. They have behavioural and academic problems at school, and they perpetuate the cycle of their disorder with their own children when they reach adulthood. And they have this thing called intermittent reinforcement. And that happens in a whole lot of ways. It's a big word that simply means, no, I'm okay. And then you go ahead and you think, no, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And then you fall over your behaviour again. And then you come back and go, no, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And then you fall over the behaviour again, or the thought process, and you think, how can I not get rid of this? It's because you need to understand that way back here, in those formative years, there was gaps in the road that you had no control over, but you do now. So like Josh shared before, that there was things that Bridge Builders has helped him connect the dots, and he just kept hanging in there. At times he wanted to say, see you later, you know, but he kept hanging in there, and it reconnected some of the fragmented lines. I look at this list and I go, oh man, when I was re-preparing, because we spoke about this about 5 years ago, I can relive situations in my life where I can see so many disconnects. Do you want a story?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep the camera going on this one, it's okay. He's dead, so it doesn't matter. So, so there was a night my dad came home, and he was so drunk. My mum is Scottish, as I said, and she's awesome at poking. You're such a loser, you know. You're no good for nothing, you know. Well, you do that to a drunk man too many times, and there's two things will happen. He'll either fall asleep, or he gets agitated. So my mum was good at agitating. There was one night, my brother and I are asleep in our rooms, separate rooms, and we can hear this commotion going on at the other end of the house. It's on. It's on between mum and dad. My brother and I get up, we walk through, I walk into the kitchen, here's mum with this massive butcher's knife. And I'm thinking, oh dear. Now I was 13 years old, and I was little. I was a little lad. I didn't develop bigger until much later in life, you know. But here's mum standing there with a butcher's knife, and dad screaming at her, she's screaming at him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, where am I? Then all of a sudden, out comes my brother with a rifle.
Oh,
How do you, okay, that escalated. I'm 13. I wasn't sitting there going, oh, okay, now everybody needs to calm down. Take a chill pill, you go to the corner, you go to the couch, put the knife down now, dear, you know, and you unload the gun, you know, that direction, you know. At 13, yeah, it didn't matter, it didn't come, it went bang, you know. So what kind of rifle's beautiful. So the reality is, it was a Wiltshire knife sharpened to the with it. No, it's all right. The reality was, here was this environment. I'm standing there. It's 13 years old, thinking, I didn't know what FML meant like that back then because I didn't have that. You know, they just said the words. You know, and so here I am standing there thinking, and I can remember even today, at 53 years of age, I can still remember. 40 years ago, I can still see the image of that 13-year-old kid, like I was standing outside myself, looking back going, oh, where am I? Why is my life like this? Mum takes the knife and she's about to go like this to my dad, and she takes it across her arm like this. I go, oh, this is on. This is on. 13, what do you do?
Cry.
Yeah. Well, there was so much emotion, I didn't know how to cry at that point. So then, as my mum's got the knife like this, my brother's pointing the gun at my dad.
What?
I would be like,
What?
And I'm going on. What was amazing is we used to have a Great Dane. This Great Dane came barreling through the kitchen through the door. My brother was in front of the door. Came through the door. The gun goes off. Because he comes barreling through the door. Just at that point, my brother had moved the gun away and shot the pantry. But cornflakes to this day will never be the same. Boom! Cornflake dust! I thought, oh, there's a funny moment. It wasn't so funny at the moment. And so the challenge is, in that environment, how do you remain sane? And how do you think? At 13 years old, I think this might have an impact on me as I grow older, you know? And I can look back on that and I can see fear entered my soul right at that point to never trust a parent again. A parent, where did that even come from? So when I became a parent, what did I think?
You didn't.
Never trusted.
I didn't trust myself with two hot boys, you know, with two boys, and thought, I don't know how to do this, because there was a gap. And so I had to work hard and let other people come into my life that could help me, not just hear my story, because there's a difference between just telling people your story and then actually getting help for that. And when I began to go through this list, I go, oh man, yeah, low self-esteem. Needy, clingy, yeah, didn't show it, but it was there. And I began to look back, and this whole series of your family of origin at 21 began to change my entire direction of my life, because I realised how many gaps were in me. And then I thought, if I could just take what I know and what I've experienced, and I could help some other young people realise that it's within their hand to actually change their direction, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine being that kind of person where you could just not be a legend, but just share with someone, do this, love. Do you know where that comes from? That comes from this root that you've got planted deep in experiences that happened in your life, and that's why it rolls out here and creates bad fruit. And I could go through my life and pinpoint all these different things of behaviours that were coming out. Low self-esteem and bad behaviours here, and being a refuser at school when they'd say do homework. I said, say, what is homework? You know, that's schoolwork, not homework. I don't work at home, ever. You know, so I was in remedial class. So then I went to whatever they call it now, a special class. I don't know what they call it now. What do they call it now? That was a special school.
Politically incorrect.
I don't even know what they call it now, but it was remedial. It means if you were dumb, right, you went to this. Oh, I was talking about me, right? In our day, when you were dumber, you went to this class, and they helped you not be so dumb, you know. And so, but the problem was, because I went to the class, I thought I was dumb. I actually wasn't dumb. There was just gaps in my education. And once a teacher, I'll never forget him, Mr. Keys. I'll never forget him. He took the time to re-educate me and join the dots. Maths, that used to be my worst subject, became my accelerated subject. English, that was my crap subject, became an accelerated subject for me, because he took the time to love and nurture and create a sense of attachment. Now, he was this dorky little science teacher, little dweeby man.
Science teachers are always the best.
Amazing. Who would have thought? But if I had kept my position of like, no one can help me, I'm just going to keep all of this stuff because this gets me attention. I'm just going to hold on to all of this because this gets attention. What would I be without all this attention? You might be healthy. You might be whole. You might be amazing. You might be able to change thousands of other young people's lives or people's lives because you decided to take on the bad fruit and realise, I've got some gaps. Do we all have gaps?
Yep.
You have one in your teeth. Never noticed, but now you mention it. No, it's not. So the challenge, guys, for us, quite simply, in this space tonight, before you, as you go into your pack, this isn't about going, oh, let's regurgitate all my stuff. Oh, look at all my bad fruit, you know. And you take your big basket of bad fruit, smelly fruit, into your pack, and then you spill it out all over everybody, and everybody goes, oh, bad apples, yeah. And bananas, whatever it is, you know. This is not about that. What this is about tonight is beginning to shift. Next week, as the girls talk with you about how to get dead fruit from your life, that's what it's about. It's just about recognising that there were things in your life, positions and circumstances that you had absolutely no control over. At 13, as I walked out in my pyjamas, you know, into that scene, it's like, what the hell am I in? Now that's one scene out of 17 years of bad scenes. So my formative years were really formative. Not. And so it really is important that we recognise I could control nothing in that environment, but I can control it now. And when I turned 21, somebody came into my world and shared this whole series with me about changing your family of origin. It doesn't mean everything in my family was bad. I get my public speaking from my dad, and I didn't know that until I buried him. I found that out at his funeral. Crazy. Here I am smiling at his funeral, and here I was learning something about him at the same time. What a shame. What a shame. So the challenge, guys, for us is quite simply, it's not to live and nurture and feel all of those and go, yeah, my life is sugar, honey, iced tea. You know, it's not. Sometimes our life just has gaps in it, has things that you have no control over because we're all broken. Even your parents have broken bits that they cannot get over. Well, they could if they listen to this video. You know, so but they could look at it and just own it. We say, own your own shit. Everyone say that. Own your own shit. If you own your own sugar, honey, iced tea first, right, then if you own that, then you can begin to recognise, okay, there's some bits missing. But now what I can do is change. I can change. I'm in control of my life. You are in control of your life. It might feel like it's out of control, somebody else is controlling it because of your age. I'm telling you, you are in control. And the reality is, you can form attachments with people, healthy attachments, not codependent ones. You can form attachments with people who can help change your life. And we've had the privilege here of 18 years of being able to do that, form attachments with people, with young people, and try to help them change their lives. You're about to go into your pack, and there are leaders sitting right in front of you who are yearning to help to change your life. They come here every single week because of one reason, and that one reason is you. They come here because they don't have all the answers. What they do have is life experience and recognise that they own their own sugar, honey, iced tea. And that maybe some of the things that they've experienced could actually share with you and help your life, help your world. Are some of your worlds worse than others?
Yes.
For sure. I met a girl the other day that said her life has just been amazing. And I had this glitch for a moment. I thought, oh, hang on. Whoa, that was my dark side coming out, you know. I just, that is so cool. I want to meet your parents. So the challenge for you is that you go into PAX this week. It's not to sit there and empty out your bad apples, right? It's a matter of just recognising we got stuff. We got some gaps, and if you could be vulnerable. But here's the thing, guys. As you go into your pack, one of the greatest fears you have in your pack is that someone's going to share something, and somebody else in the pack is going to take a liberty with that and go and share it somewhere else. You actually don't have that right. I'm telling you right now, you do not have the right to share someone else's story. You have the privilege of hearing it. You have the privilege of hearing somebody share their stories and share their experiences, but you also have an amazing opportunity to help share your love with that person because they share. Isn't that a cool thing? You just got to risk it. Not for this. So let's go into PAX and have a fantastic night.
I can't even get up. I need my shoe, boy.